Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my show Computer Wednesday. In today's episode we're gonna take a look at memory card readers. So let's dive right into it. Now first thing you have to understand why the heck there is a need for this. Now everything nowadays uses memory card, be it your mobile phone, which nowadays can go upwards of 256 GB to upwards of half terabyte. So it's everywhere, and your DSLRs have memory cards, your GoPros have memory cards, your drones have memory cards, so it's everywhere. And nowadays the file sizes that are created because of 4K, because of like raw files, they are huge. I'm talking single image file going as much as 50 to 80 MB, and video files, let's just not talk about that. So, and it's not that just file sizes are huge. Nowadays the SD card media can read very fast. There is a lot of development in flash technology, the flash memory chips, so we have very high speed. So this is why we need good SD card. So let's dive right into it. Now it's all about speed. Everything you have that uses SD card, more likely than not, it actually has a card reader built into it. Let's say my Canon 800D, it has a USB card reader. Like I don't have to take the card out and then plug it into a card reader. It can act as a card reader itself, and it will allow my computer directly copy and paste the files, and so can this audio recorder. And almost everything that has SD card reader, like SD card in use, can do that. However, the speeds are ludicrously slow. In my that's 2.0, even this is 2.0. so to actually get the speed that my flash chip can provide, I need a dedicated card reader. Now before you jump into this, before you like, okay, I'm gonna buy the latest and greatest card reader, you have to understand the top limitation comes from the fact that your PC might be the slow part. Now let's say your PC is not slow, you have to look into the interface. Now again, even interface may be not the bottleneck. You have to look into the HDD, SDD and NVMe. You can check my video here where I have went into detail about these things. So basically, if you are dumping let's say red epic camera footage, you need something like SSD, bare minimum. You want to edit that, you need something like NVMe. So, and if you only have this mechanical drives, yeah, don't bother too much money into a card reader, simply because this will become the bottleneck. You have to make sure you have at least this or this, because these puppies can write data at very high rates, so they can absorb a lot of data. So you have to make sure you're not bottlenecked by this. And not to mention, interface are kind of problematic nowadays, simply because USB 3 has USB 3 and USB 3.1, or sometimes they call it USB Gen 2. Now problem is they look exactly the same. So let's say, for instance, this is a USB 3 card reader. Now this port will look exactly the same between generation 1 and generation 2. So this creates a complicated issue. So you have to make sure you double check your interface, how your card is gonna communicate to your PC. That should not be the bottleneck. Now every card reader you have, let's say like this card, as you can see, now you may not be able to see clearly, but it has like 280 Mbps of read speed. It's not write speed, you can't write it at that fast. However, the read speeds are higher. Generally all SD media has very high read speed. So even a micro SD card can read at 95 but can only write at 90, and cheaper ones have even a worse scenario where they can only basically, let's say, write at the speed of 45 and read at the speed of 90. So please make sure the read will always be faster. So basically, extracting detail from your memory card, extracting files from your memory card can be sped up if you have a good enough card readers. So we have discussed all this. Now question becomes, how do I know? You have to know yourself. Basically, you have to know your exact format. Now this is a SD card, this is a SD card UHS 2 version. So which one do you have? Check your camera, check your memory card, which do you have? If you have UHS 2, buy a card reader that supports UHS 2. Now let's say you have the money, because this UHS card 2 is very expensive, and should you buy this for your camera even if it does not use it? I would say yes, because if you can afford it, be mindful, this is almost 3 times more expensive. If you can afford it, I would urge you to buy this, simply because while you're extracting the file from your card reader, even let's say your card reader is only USB 3.0 Gen 1, that's 600 Mbps of bandwidth, and you can practically get upwards of 300 to 400. Now SD card that is like a normal one, they cannot go higher than 90 Mbps. This can easily go up to 100 and 200 of a read speed, so you can extract data file very quickly. So if you are doing something like I am doing, making YouTube videos and all that, I have to spend time just to extract file. I'm not doing anything at that time. I'm just plugging the SD card and extracting it. It takes so long that while I'm extracting file from this, basically the SD card from this, this happens almost very quickly, instantaneously. So I'm extracting the file, I'm doing the noise cancellation on those files, and then during that time, that process is going on. At that time, I'm copying the video files because it takes longer. So you have to know your exact format. Do you have it? Can you use it? Then interface. Now please pay attention to this, especially if you want to buy a high-end product, they will be like USB 3.1. Now what does that mean? USB 3.1 in terms of software or in terms of physical hardware? Now because 3.1 Gen 2 sometimes is USB-C, so you can see there is a complication into this. So please pay attention to that, especially with Thunderbolt 3 has USB-C as a port, so it's very confusing. So please pay attention to this. All you have to do is just pay closer attention to either the manual or numbers written here. So other than that, you don't have to do anything, but you have to check it, because let's say you bought a SD card reader that has USB 3.1. You have a media, let's say this sort of media, UHS 2 media, which can saturate your card speed. But let's say your motherboard did not have the port, so you got limited because of that. So please check. Now this is one very small niche, but you have to double check that for that is simultaneous use is possible or not, because many card readers like this one does not support simultaneous card reader, meaning like I have SD card in my DSLR, I plug it here. Now I have a mini SD card for my audio recorder. I can't plug both of them at the same time and copy files same time. So please double check that. If you are in a scenario where you need to copy files from multiple sources, double check the simultaneous use is possible or not. So after that, everything, then if you have checked all that, then the bottleneck becomes your flash media itself, because you can see like there is CFast 2.0 standard that can read upwards of 500 megabytes per second. So at this point you are at the same speed of SSD. This is SSD basically. The CFast 2.0 standard is basically SSD. So that is why it's not backwards compatible with old CFast. So double check that. And you can have XQD for Nikon systems and some Sony professional handycams where it can go upwards of 440. So this is why I'm saying, know yourself. What does your motherboard allow? What is your interface limit? What is that exact format that you are using? Make sure all of that. Now, for most of you, simultaneous use is not a common thing. You barely need to do it, so don't worry too much about it. But if let's say you are in a scenario where you're going for wedding, you did a lot of wedding shoot, you have like 2-3 camera, 1 drone and things of that nature, simultaneous use actually will end up saving you time. So again, if you are charging very little amount of money for your shoots, basically if your per hour cost is not high enough, don't invest in that, because you can afford to waste time. Then is there any other bottleneck? Because you might be surprised how much time you waste just trying to copy files. So please know yourself. Now, okay, this is a long lecture. Is there something that you can buy? Well, yes, in a mid-range, there is a very good option. Like this one is right now Amazon's best-selling because it's very practical. It's like UHS 1, USB 3.0, very practical. I can easily get up to 80 to 90 Mbps out of this. Now, if you want to go higher version than that is possible. You can buy this same thing, 3.1 version, which has UHS 2 support. And it's some people say that it can support multi-card read. Then there is this one, which after a lot of research turns out to be very good, is Kingston USB 3.0 card reader. That's what it also supports UHS 2, the modern card standards, and it can do multi-card read. So in my kind of scenario, you can easily have your SD card running into this and your micro SD card from your audio recorder going into this, and you can directly copy both of them. And it also allows cross transfer, so you can transfer from one card to another card, so which is nice. Now let's say you are a pro, let's say you are running a large company, not large company, let's say a small company where you have at least 2-3 people and all the data is dumped into network attached storage for safety purpose. How do you gonna dump that kind of amount of data? So you use this Luxar system. Now be mindful, Luxar is out of business now. However, that company is bought by someone else and they're gonna maintain it, so it's not, you don't have to worry about it like it being out of support. So what you can do is buy small card readers like this. These are independent card reader. You can buy this, use it directly with your USB 3 port, nothing fancy about this. However, once you have 4 of them, you can buy this big adapter. This is very expensive, but you can slot 4 of them. Now why would you want to do that? Here's a simple thing. This has USB 3.1 and Thunderbolt. So let's say your network attached storage absorbs Thunderbolt or absorbs USB 3.1. You connect this to there, and all of these card reader can work simultaneously. That is the critical part, or 4 of them. And let's say you are in a scenario where you are only using Nikon cameras and you have XQD only. You can buy XQD. That's the reason why people are interested about this. Is a very expensive product. Under no circumstances think this is a cheap device. This is very expensive, but it does allow amazing customizability. So let's say you have a scenario where you have you want to copy 2 XQD simultaneously. You bought 2 XQD, let's say, but you also have drone footage which uses micro SD. You buy this one. Now this itself, there is a one that only supports first 1 micro SD and the another 3 micro SD. And be mindful, this 3 can be copied simultaneously, all 3. So you can have, like, you know, one GoPro, one drone, all of them copied same time. And then again, you can also buy a basically data module where it's just a SSD, 512GB SSD that you can plug here, and everything will be backed up into this also. So this is a product where somebody sat down and designed it well. Because all of this, like let's say this module, you can buy right now. Let's say you use lot of micro SD, buy this right now. This will allow you to copy three SD cards simultaneously, and it will work with very high speed USB 3.0. Now once you have let's say you move to XQD, you buy XQD one. You move to UHS 2 card, you buy UHS 2 card slot. And once you have 4 of them, just buy this one. So this is a very amazing product for large use scenario. It's not suited for you know, you and me. It's suited for studios that are doing wedding, lot of basically music videos and things of that nature, where you know, copying time is a very big deal. You want to make sure that you saturate your network, because if you have a network attached storage that can absorb data at, let's say, 2 to 3 gigabytes per second, you can practically stack upwards of 18 to 20 SD cards. So this allows you to do that. So this is amazing product for pro. This is not something that I would urge you to buy for home. Now if you use a lot of SD cards, I would urge you to buy this, because this does allow 3 simultaneous transfer. Now for most of us, this Transtranger and Kingston is more than good enough. So this was my presentation on card readers. I hope you liked it or learned from it. In that case, please leave a like, click the ad shown in this video, that will directly pay me. And I would urge you to, if you didn't like it, you can dislike it. I would ask you to press the dislike button twice to show that extra disappointment. And please comment, leave a comment, because I reply to all of them. And I would urge you to subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.